both about my summer camp. My mom then told me they were boring, showed me a clip from Braveheart where a guy says a speech with way too many expletives for me to repeat, and told me that was what she expected my 8th grade speech to be like. Was this the best way to get her point across? Absolutely not. But I still started writing a 3rd speech. So today, instead of talking about my summer camp, I'm going to be talking about the lessons that can be learned from John Hughes movies, specifically those about teens. For those of you who don't know who John Hughes is, and I'll admit I didn't know who he was either before I binge-watched all his movies, John Hughes is the guy who directed the Home Alone movies. Don't get your hopes up, because the teachers will never leave us alone at school, and we will never get to Booby Trap Hammond, so I don't think I need to talk about the lessons from those movies. The lesson from the first movie I want to talk about is one I think Mr. North will appreciate, because the movie 16 Candles places an emphasis on minding the details, or at least being able to see the small things outside of what seems like the biggest thing happening in the moment. We can first see this when the main character, Sam's birthday is forgotten by her entire family. Her family's so caught up in planning her sister's wedding they completely forget a tiny detail like a 16th birthday. I don't know about y'all, that would make me so incredibly mad. Sam gets mad too, but handles her anger more gracefully than I would. She's able to overlook the major detail of anger and forgive her family. Forgiving others is something many different characters do over the course of this movie. Next, Sam thinks her crush, Jake Ryan, doesn't know she exists, but he does. In fact, he really likes her. He's just so caught up in dating the most popular girl at their school that he manages to ignore his feelings for her. The entire movie, everyone's so caught up in the wedding war and popularity that they don't pay any attention to Sam. It's not until the very end, when they're able to notice the details, which, in this case is Sam, that they get a happy ending. John Hughes may have added a love story, but 16 Candles is basically just his version of Mr. North's motto, mind the details. Up next is another romantic comedy, Pretty in Pink. I thought the friendships in this movie were amazing, and a commentary on how good friends will stick with you no matter what. The first time we see this is with Jenna, who defends the main character, Annie, in a very creative way when some girls are mean to her in gym class. Next there's Iona, who works with Andy at a record store, and is her best friend. When Andy's being chased by a guy with a crush on her, Iona distracts the guy. When Andy's going to prom, Iona helps her with the dress. And when Andy gets her heart broken, Iona comforts her. And finally, there's Ducky. He's a little creepy, I'll admit, but he's there for Andy no matter what. He even supports her when she chooses the romantic interest, Blaine, over him. Personally, I think that was a mistake, but it just goes to prove how cool Ducky is, that he not only goes along with it, but encourages it. The main lesson the movie Pretty in Pink taught me is that you should always try to be there for your friends. Next up is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I love this movie. In it, a group of friends skip school for one last day of fun. The only downside to their awesome day is that the entire time, they're worried about the future and whether they'll keep in touch after 2 of them go to separate colleges and one stays in high school. This fear is never really resolved, but when they're ignoring this fear, they have an even better time than usual. You can't stress over college when you're lip syncing in a parade, pretending to be the sausage king of Chicago, or dangling into the window of the tallest building in the world. In this movie, John Hughes is trying to say that you have to live in the moment, not in fear of the future. My favorite John Hughes movie is The Breakfast Club. It tells the story of 5 teens who get stuck in detention for 8 hours on a Saturday. I think it's a little extreme, and I sure hope Dr. Turner agrees. At the beginning of the movie, they all hate each other, or at the very least, don't care about each other. But over the course of the day, as they get to know one another, they start to view each other as something other than one-word, easy-to-understand stereotypes, and they become friends. The movie ends with them saying, "You see us as you want to see us," in the simplest terms and the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain, and an athlete, and a basket case, a princess and a criminal. Basically, this is John Hughes' way of saying that you shouldn't try to use one word to define people. We're all more complex than that. Filmmaker M.H. Murray said, "I loved how John Hughes wrote teens. They were flawed in this genuine sort of way. John Hughes doesn't write teens as the stereotypes he warns against in The Breakfast Club. He makes movies where all aspects of being a human are explored, from friendships to fear of the future to our tendency to miss things that are right in front of our eyes. These are things everyone feels, something that makes it so easy to learn lessons from these movies. Plus, they make it almost easy to write a speech my mother can't call boring. Thank you for listening to my speech and have a great day."